Hi guys, it's Tuesday and I promised you a talk and then realized that at this cottage I'm staying at with my sisters in Prince Edward Island is not going to support the Wi-Fi that I need to be able to do the talk. So instead, I'm going to record just a little snapshot of what it is that we are going to talk about next time and send it to you. So I'll post this and hopefully I'll be able to get that up tonight for you. So I apologize. Poor planning. I had promised to talk to you even when I was on the road, but such as it is, we're going with this. And I have to do it in one take because I can't edit this either. There's a lot of mosquitoes here. So I am in a place called Lobster Lane in Prince Edward Island in Canada, and it's so beautiful. And here we are. Okay, so just to let you know what I was going to talk to you about, the recurring thing that's happening for me in my exploration of ADHD and neurodivergence is that so much of what we're conquering, like so much of what we're up against, so much of what we're trying to overcome is this sense of being different from the societal norms that we're expected to match, that we're expected to be able to meet the standards of. And because we can't, because we don't organize ourselves, because we don't filter the world, because we don't think the same as what sort of neurotypical people do, we're often finding ourselves feeling like there is something very, very, very wrong with us. And that's why we can't actually perform the way that we feel like we're supposed to, right? So part of what I'm trying to be bringing awareness to with so many other people who are doing this is that there is nothing wrong. There's only the same amount of flaw in who we are as people who are wired differently than, normal, in that, like, of course we have flaws. Are you kidding? We all have flaws. But the way that we're flawed is not the way that it has been understood up until now. And so what I hope to be doing is bringing a sense of, like, we shouldn't be trying to correct ourselves to the norm. We shouldn't be trying to get ourselves to match or meet the standard of how our brains are supposed to work. Instead, we should be really uniquely looking at ourselves, understanding that there's nothing wrong with our wiring, but if there are certain ways where we can adapt ourselves or our environment to making our lives match more what we want, then we want to figure out how to do that. Hence everything that I've been talking about. And yet it occurs to me that, like, there is nothing unique about this feeling. There's nothing unique about feeling like there's something broken inside of you. There's nothing unique. Every neurotypical person on the planet has had the same feeling that a neurodiverse person has had, in terms of thinking that there's something terribly wrong with them because they aren't experiencing or feeling or thinking the way that they perceive everybody else is, or certainly the way that they should be. So I wanted to just bring some light onto a couple of these examples. So a couple things that came to mind. I've been talking to my sisters and my niece about this, who have been very helpful. And the way that you can think about it in terms of, like, the feeling that may help you if you don't identify as being someone who's neurodiverse, the way it can feel for those people in your life or that you're coaching is very much the same as a few good examples. Like, if you happen to be an introvert in a world full of extroverts. So think about all of our societal norms are basically decided by the loudest, by the dominant, by the group that has the power. And if you happen to be an introvert in this extroverted world, you likely have that same feeling, or have been sometimes made to feel like there's something in you that if you were more confident, you would be different. Or there's an equation between, like, extroverted things like confidence, speaking up, being really engaged, wanting to join in, wanting to lead, wanting attention on you, like those sorts of things that we have equated with being what you should be, or what you could be if you are confident, an expert, all of these sorts of really positive things, where the truth is maybe you're just an introvert. Maybe you are as confident as you ever could be or should be, but you're introverted, so you don't need or want to go and participate in the same way that an extroverted person would. And too often we're led to believe that introverted ways of being, like really, really needing and wanting that time to yourself, not needing to be the loudest voice in the group, all of that kind of stuff, that it's because there's inherently something less than. And so I have worked with a number of people who try to change that introverted part of themselves to be more like what they're told by society they should have. Another one is all of us as parents. So those of you out there who are parents, who this is my view, and my sisters agree with me, that probably if I took any parent in the whole wide world, you could probably make a list of half a dozen things, maybe a dozen, that you will never admit to anyone ever in the whole world that you have done as a parent, for fear of it being perceived as lazy, mean, misguided, I don't know, uninformed, selfish, whatever the things are that you did as a parent. And even in our small circles, we don't admit them fundamentally because we believe that there is something wrong with us for doing those things. So it's a shame-filled feeling of having done something. We can all laugh about some of the things we do as parents, right? We all laugh about how mental our kids can make us sometimes, and the sort of like acceptable mistakes that we make. But there is also a whole bunch of them that we really genuinely believe in our hearts is something wrong with us, because we weren't able to provide or give or be who our kids, we feel like our kids needed us to be. And this is one of those ones where deep down you feel like there's something wrong with you. But the truth is, if you could see inside the lives and the experiences of so many other parents, we're all sharing this experience. But what has been the standard or the norm has been set by those people who don't want to admit those types of weaknesses or flaws or faults or whatever it is. Another one that we came up with that I think is really, really similar to feeling like there's something really wrong with you is like believing that we're supposed to mature out of childhood emotions. So one of the things, I have the privilege of seeing the inside of people's lives so often. The stuff that they'll admit to me as a coach that they can't admit to just about anybody else in their life. And things like feeling left out, feeling exclusion, feeling like they're not cool or cool enough, feeling like they aren't compassionate enough, feeling like they're not smart enough, feeling generally like they don't fit in, is something that is so commonly expressed in a way where we're not supposed to feel like that anymore. And even feeling like we don't have like a friend group of friends in the same way that we perceive everybody else does. And it leaves us with these like very young feelings, like really insecure sort of feelings of being excluded that nobody likes to admit, because it's so, we instead, we'll do things like cast blame or make excuses or pretend it's not happening. And every one of these, I think I have seen in almost everybody that I work with, shares these same sort of insecurities and feelings that we're told are supposed to mature in us. But for so many of us, so many people actually feel it almost exactly the same sting of it and worry about it that they did when they were young. And sometimes we were better at like talking ourselves through it and finding ways to cope with it and all that kind of stuff. But it still leaves us with this sense of like there's something different or wrong about us. And the rest of the world doesn't have it, and we don't even want to admit it to the people around us because we just don't know. We're not willing to risk how different it may actually be about us. So this is where we're going to dive a little bit deeper. I do think that this is a topic that is so important, because when we're talking about ADHD and neurodiversity, it often is something that we feel like it may not be understandable by people who are more neurotypical. And in fact, there's always ways to relate to this that are across the board. So guys, there will be more. I may even send more from here. This is working out, other than the shadow of my phone on me. But I appreciate that you are listening to this. If you are, I'm going to try and get it posted up on YouTube. I don't know if I will. And hopefully this has come through on the email when I was supposed to be talking to you. I appreciate this. Look at where I am. This is my summer vacation, guys. So I will talk to you next week.